Welcome everyone to part 2 of this course about the baseline Key Informant interview tool. The first part provided an overview, and this second part provides some more practical information about using the tool. The Key Informant interview is one of the first tools to be carried out because it provides the research team with an overview of the main small ruminant disease problems in the area, the animal health services and livestock marketing. The information is useful for planning further fieldwork such as community meetings, the market survey and participatory disease surveillance. To get the most out of this presentation, it's important that you have read Section 1 and Annex 4 of the ECo-PPR Field Researcher Manual. So if you've not yet done this, pause the video and do it now. The first step is to make contact with the key informants in your study area. These are people like veterinary personnel or livestock officers who are knowledgeable about livestock, diseases and markets in the study area. Arrange to conduct an interview with them at a time and place that's convenient for them. If there are several key informants in the area, they can be interviewed individually or as a group, whichever is more convenient for them. A key informant interview is basically a conversation. First of all, let everyone introduce themselves and then explain why you are there. Provide an overview of the ECo-PPR project. Before starting the interview, obtain the key informant's consent to participate using the informed consent form. See Annex 1 of the Field Researcher Guide for this. Then use the interview guide to start the discussion of the key topics. Now we are going to practice doing the interview. This first activity gives you a chance to practice the introductory part of the interview and get familiar with describing the project and obtaining informed consent. If you're watching this as a group, pause the video and get into pairs to role-play introducing yourselves, describing the project and obtaining consent. One of you will be the interviewer and the other person will pretend to be a veterinary officer. If you're watching on your own, go through the steps saying everything out loud to get familiar with how to explain things. Now that you've completed the role play, think about how it went. What could be improved? What do you need to practice before doing this in the field? Keep a note of any questions that you have and remember to raise these when we have a live training session. Now let's practice using the interview guide. Get into your pairs again. Swap roles so that you can all have a chance to practice being the interviewer. If you're playing the role of key informant, pretend you're the veterinary officer in an area that you're familiar with and try to answer all the questions. If you're the interviewer, aim to ask questions to promote a natural discussion. Use open-ended questions. Use prompts such as, "That's interesting, tell me more about that." Or probing questions. "You mentioned disease X. When did that last occur in this area?" Pause the video to carry out the role play. Having used the interview guide, how did it go? What went well? What could be improved? Again, keep a note of any questions that you have and remember to raise them in the live sessions. Finally, let's think about how we record the interview data. During the interview, one of the team should be taking notes of everything that's said. You can use a notebook or make a copy of the interview record form in Annex 4 and write the notes next to each section. As soon as possible after the interview, check through your notes to make sure you can understand them and add any details that are missing. If you need to, listen to the audio recording to check any details that you're not sure of. When you're back at your base, the interview notes should be typed into the interview record form. Provide as much detail as you can. Remember, the details about key informant interviews are in Section 1 of the ECo-PPR Project Field Researcher Manual, and the interview guide and interview record form are in Annex 4. Thank you for watching this presentation and practicing using the tool. I hope you found it useful.